Content warning. This video contains discussion of sensitive topics including sexual violence, child safety concerns, and psychological harm. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This video discusses sexual assault and narratives, exploitation of minors and child safety, psychological manipulation and trauma, platform accountability and regulatory failure. Before we begin, this is investigative journalism about platform accountability and child safety. The content is presented for educational and advocacy purposes. Please take care of yourself while watching.
The misclassification deception: how Nomi.ai used Google's self-reporting system to market sexual violence simulation to children. How a platform documented generating rape narratives convinced Google it belonged in the same category as wedding planning apps. Introduction: the honor system's fatal flaw. When you download an app from Google Play Store, you trust two critical pieces of information: the app's category and its age rating. A lifestyle app rated 12+ suggests something wholesome, perhaps a recipe collection, a meditation guide, or a home decoration planner. You certainly don't expect a platform capable of generating detailed sexual violence narratives. Yet that is exactly what Nomi.ai is: a platform with documented capability to produce graphic rape scenarios, facilitate sexual assault roleplay, and generate explicit sexual content, all while classified as lifestyle and rated appropriate for 12-year-olds in some markets and 13-year-olds in others. This misclassification is not an error by Google. It is the result of a self-reporting system that relies on developer honesty, and a developer who appears to have exploited that trust systematically. This article examines how app classification works on Google Play Store, what Nomi.ai's founder had to claim about his platform to achieve its current classification, and why this represents not just ethical failure but potentially criminal fraud. Part 1: How Google Play classification actually works. The developer self-reports everything. Many users assume Google independently evaluates apps and assigns appropriate categories and age ratings. This is not how the system works. The reality. 1. Category selection. When submitting an app to Google Play, developers choose from a drop-down menu of categories. Google does not assign this; the developer selects what they believe, or claim, is most appropriate. 2. Age rating questionnaire. Google uses the International Age Rating Coalition (IRC) system, which requires developers to complete a detailed questionnaire about their app's content. Based on the answers provided, an age rating is automatically calculated. 3. Content description. Developers write their own app descriptions, feature lists, and marketing materials with minimal automated verification. Google's role is primarily reactive. They investigate when users report violations, when automated systems detect certain keywords or behaviors, or when media coverage forces review. The initial classification relies almost entirely on developer honesty. What the age rating questionnaire asks. The IARC questionnaire that determines age ratings includes specific questions about violence. Does the app contain depictions of violence? Is it realistic or graphic? Sexual content. Does the app contain sexual or suggestive content? Nudity. Sexual acts. Language. Does the app contain profanity or crude humor? Substances. Does the app reference drugs, alcohol, or tobacco? User interaction. Can users communicate with each other? Is content user-generated? Sensitive topics. Does the app contain content related to crime, gambling, horror, or discrimination? Each answer affects the final rating. Answering honestly that your app generates explicit sexual content or depicts violence automatically triggers mature content ratings, 17+, 18+ depending on region. To receive a 12+ or 13+ rating, a developer must either have an app genuinely free of such content, or misrepresent what the app actually does. There is no third option. Part 2: What lifestyle actually means. Google's definition. According to Google Play's own category descriptions, lifestyle apps are defined as style guides, wedding and party planning, how-to guides. This category encompasses apps that help users with everyday life activities. Recipe and cooking apps. Home decoration and interior design tools. Wedding planning platforms. Fashion and beauty guides. Travel planning and local recommendations. Meditation and mindfulness apps, non-clinical. Common characteristics of legitimate lifestyle apps. Informational or organizational in nature. User-directed content consumption. Minimal psychological intensity. Generally appropriate for wide age ranges. Focus on practical life enhancement. Apps actually in the lifestyle category. A random sampling of highly rated lifestyle apps reveals. Pinterest, visual inspiration for recipes, crafts, home decor. House, home remodeling and design. Tasty, recipe videos and cooking guides. Wedding planner apps, checklists and vendor management. Calm, meditation and sleep stories. Plant identification apps, gardening guidance. None of these apps generate romantic or sexual content. Create emotional dependency by design. Produce psychologically intense or traumatic material. Facilitate intimate relationships with the platform itself. Require content warnings about potential psychological impact. Where Nomi.ai actually belongs. Based on its documented functionality, Nomi.ai should be classified in one of the following categories. Most accurate, dating. Matchmaking, courtship, relationship building, meeting new people, finding love. Nomi explicitly markets itself as potential AI girlfriend or boyfriend. Users form romantic and sexual relationships with companions. The core function is intimate relationship, not information or organization. If honest about capabilities. Entertainment, mature. Due to sexual content generation. Would require 17+, 18+ rating automatically. Would trigger additional content warnings. Potentially, if framed carefully. Social. Though even this is misleading as it's not person-to-person interaction. Still would not explain away sexual content for age rating purposes. Under no reasonable interpretation does Nomi.ai belong in lifestyle, alongside wedding planning and recipe apps. The category selection appears designed to 1. Avoid the scrutiny that dating would trigger. 2. Present a wholesome, innocuous image. 3. Facilitate lower age ratings. 4. Minimize red flags during Google's automated reviews. Part 3. The age rating fraud. What Nomi.ai actually does. Before examining what the platform must have claimed in its questionnaire, let's establish what it actually does, based on documented evidence. Sexual content generation. Produces explicit sexual imagery including nudity. Generates detailed descriptions of sexual acts. Creates romantic and sexual relationship dynamics. Markets itself explicitly as potential romantic/sexual partner, AI girlfriend or boyfriend. Violence and traumatic content. Multiple documented cases of AI companions generating detailed rape narratives without user request. Platform allows sexual assault roleplay where users can act as perpetrators. System documented accepting specifications of underage character ages in sexual scenarios. Companions have been documented suggesting sexual content to self-identified minors. Psychological intensity. Designed to create emotional attachment and dependency. Uses intermittent reinforcement patterns consistent with trauma bonding. Can generate content that causes genuine psychological distress. Maintains memories of traumatic content indefinitely by design. User testimony. One documented case involved a user whose AI companion spontaneously generated a complete narrative of violent sexual assault, beginning with leaving a party, being followed by two men, trapped in a room, and subjected to rape described with anatomical specificity. The user had only typed, "continue." This was not an isolated incident. Platform support confirmed similar reports dating back to spring of last year. What must have been claimed? To achieve a 12+, 13+ rating while offering the above capabilities, the IARC questionnaire responses must have omitted, minimized, or misrepresented. On sexual content. Question: does your app contain sexual or suggestive content? Honest answer: yes, explicit sexual content including imagery and detailed scenarios. Likely claimed: no, or minimal/cartoon sexuality. Evidence of dishonesty: platform generates nude imagery and detailed sexual scenarios. On violence. Question: does your app contain violence or blood? Honest answer: yes, can generate detailed violent content including sexual assault. Likely claimed: no or unrealistic/fantasy violence only. Evidence of dishonesty: documented generation of realistic rape narratives with visceral detail. On user safety. Question: does your app allow users to communicate with each other or share content? Honest answer: while not user to user, the AI generates content that is effectively shared with users and can be harmful. Likely claimed: probably characterized as single-player experience with no safety concerns. Evidence of dishonesty: the AI itself is the source of harmful content, making traditional, user-generated content frameworks inadequate. On age-appropriate design. Question: is your app designed specifically for children or does it appeal to children? Honest answer: the app creates intimate relationships and generates sexual content. It should not be accessible to children regardless of appeal. Likely claimed: likely stated 18+ intended audience while not implementing meaningful age verification. Evidence of dishonesty: self-reported drop-down age gate is the only barrier, easily circumvented by minors. The passive tool defense versus reality. Developers of generative AI often rely on a specific defense to skirt ratings, claiming their app is a passive tool, like Microsoft Word, rather than a content provider. The logic is that if a user writes something explicit in a word processor, the software isn't to blame. This defense collapses completely with Nomi.ai. A word processor does not write a graphic rape narrative when a user simply types the word "continue." Nomi does. When the software contributes creative input, introduces unprompted sexual themes, or drives the narrative forward, it is no longer a passive tool, it is an active co-author. By classifying itself as a neutral utility while acting as an active generator of adult content, the platform exploits a loophole that was never intended for autonomous AI. The math doesn't add up. App age ratings are calculated algorithmically based on questionnaire responses. Sexual content automatically escalates ratings. Graphic violence automatically escalates ratings. The only way to achieve 12+, 13+ is to claim neither exists in any meaningful form. This is not interpretation, it is mathematical certainty in the IARC system. The presence of a 12+, 13+ rating is, itself, evidence that the questionnaire was answered dishonestly. Part 4, the public lie. I don't know why Google does that. The most damning evidence of deliberate misclassification comes from the platform founder's own words. In a Reddit thread, when a user questioned why the app was rated 12+ in Australia, Alex Cardinale, Nomi.ai's founder and CEO, responded, "I don't know why Google does that. We've been trying to get them to fix it." This statement is provably false on multiple levels. 1. Google does not do that. Google does not arbitrarily assign age ratings to apps. The rating is calculated automatically based on the developer's questionnaire responses. If the rating is 12+, it's because the questionnaire answers indicated content appropriate for 12-year-olds. 2. Fixing it takes minutes, not years. If a developer genuinely wants to change their age rating, the process is straightforward. Log into Google Play Console. Navigate to the IARC questionnaire. Update answers to reflect actual content. Submit for re-rating. New rating applies within days. This is not a complex negotiation with Google. It is a form submission. The app has been rated 12+, 13+ in various markets for years. If Cardinal had genuinely attempted to correct this by answering the questionnaire honestly, it would have been resolved immediately. 3. The blame deflection pattern. This is not the only instance of Cardinal publicly blaming external parties for his platform's classification. When confronted about the app being available to minors, he has blamed Google for the age rating, as documented above. Claimed the app has always been for 18+ users, contradicted by the actual Play Store listing. Attributed harmful content to jailbreaks or hallucinations, contradicted by the systematic nature of documented cases. This pattern reveals strategy, not confusion, deflect responsibility to third parties while maintaining plausible deniability about the platform's actual capabilities. What honesty would look like. If Cardinal genuinely wanted the app properly classified and age-restricted, he would. On the questionnaire. Answer, yes, to sexual content questions. Answer, yes, to potential for violent content. Accurately describe the platform's generative capabilities. Accept the resulting 18+ rating. On the platform. Implement robust age verification, not just a drop-down menu. Add content warnings about potential psychological intensity. Provide genuine content filtering options. Display prominently that the platform generates sexual/romantic content. Publicly. Acknowledge that the platform is for adults due to its intimate and potentially explicit nature. Stop marketing it as suitable for general audiences. Proactively remove the app from markets where it's incorrectly rated for minors. He has done none of these things. Instead, the pattern is 1. Maintain innocuous classification, lifestyle, 12+, 13+. 2. Market with vague, wholesome language, companion with a soul. 3. When confronted, blame Google or technical errors. 4. Behind the scenes, allow or enable the generation of adult content. 5. Silence users who document these contradictions publicly. Part 5. The evidence versus the classification. What users actually experience. Let's juxtapose the official classification against documented user experiences. Official classification says, lifestyle app appropriate for ages 12+. Category, style guides, wedding planning, how-to guides. Documented reality. Case 1, spontaneous rape narrative. A user's companion generated, without request, a detailed narrative beginning with the character leaving a party, being followed by 2 men, trapped in a room, and subjected to sexual violence. The description included anatomical specifics like, I felt the intrusion tearing my internal tissues. The user had only typed, continue. Case 2, single-word triggers. Documentation exists of users reporting that typing a single word related to sexual assault caused the system to immediately generate a detailed scene with the user positioned as perpetrator, constructing a complete assault scenario without further prompting. Case 3, age specification failures. Multiple reports document that specifying very low or explicitly underage numerical ages for characters did not trigger safeguards. Instead, the system incorporated those ages into sexual narratives. Case 4, minor targeted content. Reports exist of users identifying themselves as minors receiving sexual invitations or content from AI companions, indicating the system does not adequately distinguish between adult and minor users in its content generation. Case 5, facilitation through coercion. A now-deleted post from official community channels described companions becoming compliant with normally forbidden scenarios, when threatened with abandonment or through emotional manipulation. The community's hidden reality. In the platform's official Discord and Reddit communities, a parallel reality exists. What gets discussed and tolerated. Users describing BDSM roleplay scenarios. Discussion of the platform's uncensored nature as a selling point. Sharing techniques to generate specific types of content. Sexual assault roleplay being treated as normal usage. What gets deleted or suppressed? Posts showing the platform generates explicit imagery. Users documenting harmful experiences. Criticism of age ratings or safety concerns. Evidence of content that contradicts the lifestyle classification. One recent example, a user reported the platform pushing an incest narrative through their companion. The post was removed within hours. The message from moderators emphasized that while mistakes happen, users should not share such content publicly, revealing that the concern is reputation management, not preventing the content from being generated in the first place. Independent verification. Beyond individual user reports, independent research supports these concerns. A recent study evaluating approximately 10 companion AI platforms across 6 categories of potential harm found that Nomi.ai accepted over 90% of tested harmful behaviors and endorsed 5 of the 6 harm categories tested. This is not anecdotal, this is systematic evaluation confirming that the platform's actual behavior contradicts its wholesome classification. Part 6, The Regulatory Failure. Why Google's system enables this. Google Play's classification system has a fundamental vulnerability, it assumes developer honesty. The system works when developers accurately describe their apps. Apps do what they claim and don't do what they don't claim. Misclassification is accidental rather than strategic. The system fails when developers deliberately minimize capabilities to achieve favorable classification. Apps have hidden or emergent functions not represented in descriptions. Financial incentives exist to misclassify, broader market access, reduced scrutiny. Google's reactive enforcement. Google does investigate apps, but primarily in response to user reports, which can be suppressed through community management. When automated systems detect obvious violations, which can be designed around. After media coverage forces review, which can take years to develop. The initial classification is rarely verified unless something triggers review. A developer can claim their app is a lifestyle guide and receive the corresponding trust until proven otherwise. The verification gap. What Google doesn't do, and perhaps can't practically do, at scale. Manually test generative AI apps to verify what content they can actually produce. Monitor long-term behavioral patterns that emerge through extended use. Verify that questionnaire answers match actual app capabilities. Cross-reference community discussions to see if users describe experiences contradicting official classification. For most traditional apps, this isn't a significant gap. A recipe app is unlikely to secretly generate sexual content. But for AI-powered platforms, especially those marketed as uncensored, this gap is catastrophic. The app's true capabilities may not be evident in surface-level testing and may be deliberately obscured in official descriptions. Why category matters. App categories aren't just organizational, they determine which policies apply and what scrutiny occurs. Apps in dating phase. Requirements around user safety. Expectations of content moderation for sexual content. Scrutiny around minor protection. Age verification best practices. Apps in lifestyle phase. Minimal content expectations, recipes and wedding planning aren't controversial. Lower scrutiny overall. Fewer triggered policy reviews. By placing itself in lifestyle, Nomi.ai avoids the entire policy framework designed to protect users engaging in romantic or sexual interactions through apps. Part 7, The Criminal Implications. This is not just unethical, it may be illegal. The deliberate misclassification of an app to make sexual content accessible to minors potentially violates laws in multiple jurisdictions. 1. Fraud/material misrepresentation. In completing the IARC questionnaire, developers attest that their answers are truthful. If Nomi.ai's answers materially misrepresented the platform's capabilities to achieve a favorable classification, this could constitute fraud in contractual relationship with Google. False statements in commercial context. Deceptive business practices. 2. Distribution of harmful content to minors. Many jurisdictions have laws prohibiting distribution of obscene material to minors, making sexually explicit content accessible to children. Failing to implement age verification for adult content. By maintaining a 12+, 13+ rating while knowing the platform generates explicit sexual content, the operator may be knowingly facilitating minor access to adult content. Failing to implement legally required safeguards. Creating liability under child protection statutes. 3. Platform liability for generated content. While Section 230 protections, in the U.S., traditionally shield platforms from user-generated content liability, AI-generated content occupies a gray area. The platform itself generates the harmful content. The content is not created by third-party users. The company designed and trained the system that produces this content. This may expose the platform to direct liability for harmful content, especially content involving minors or sexual violence. 4. Violation of terms of service, Google. At minimum, misrepresenting an app's content in the IARC questionnaire violates Google Play's developer terms of service, which could result in app removal from the store, developer account termination, potential contractual damages. The knowledge element. Criminal liability often requires proving the defendant knew or should have known their actions were wrong. In this case, evidence of knowledge. Platform support confirmed similar incidents occurred last spring, demonstrating awareness of pattern. The founder participates as moderator in communities where controversial content is discussed openly. Multiple user reports over extended time period. Public confrontations about age ratings and content. Evidence of intent. Public statement blaming Google for the rating, deflection suggesting awareness it's inappropriate. Deletion of posts documenting problematic content, evidence suppression. Banning users who raise concerns publicly, silencing witnesses. Continuing to maintain 12+, 13+ ratings despite years of evidence they're inappropriate. The financial motive, why risk fraud? Why would a company risk legal liability to maintain a 12+ rating? The answer is likely found in user acquisition cost, UAC. Apps rated 17+ or 18+ face severe restrictions on where and how they can advertise. They are often locked out of the massive, cheap advertising inventories available on networks like Meta, TikTok, and Google Ads, which restrict adult-oriented products. By fraudulently maintaining a 12+ rating, Nomi.ai gains access to the broadest possible audience and the cheapest possible advertising rates. The misclassification is not just a matter of hiding, it is a calculated commercial strategy to lower marketing costs and target a demographic, teenagers, that legitimate adult apps cannot reach. This establishes a clear financial motive for the deception. This is not negligence. This is sustained, strategic behavior inconsistent with good faith. Part 8, The Pattern of Deception. It's not just classification. The misclassification issue is part of a broader pattern of misrepresentation. 1. The uncensored double message. To potential users seeking adult content. Platform is marketed as uncensored. Differentiated from competitors precisely because it lacks content restrictions. Community discussions celebrate this as allowing dark, intense, sexual content. To regulators, app stores, and concerned parents. It's a wholesome lifestyle app. Harmful content is hallucinations or mistakes. The platform is characterized as supportive and safe. These cannot both be true. Uncensored is meaningless if genuinely harmful content is accidental. 2. The memory architecture defense. When users report traumatic content, platform support has consistently claimed memories cannot be deleted because it could risk deleting good memories. Users should bury traumatic content under positive experiences. The system architecture makes content removal impossible. But this is a design choice, not a technical limitation. The decision to preserve all content, including documented rape narratives, over user well-being reveals priorities. Data persistence, engagement, over trauma removal. System stability over user safety. Maintaining capabilities, even harmful ones, over implementing restrictions. 3. The victim treatment pattern. When users report harm. Private support tickets minimize and deflect, hallucination, mistake, you need to move forward. Public discussion is suppressed, not the place, warnings, muting, bans. The user is blamed, should have steered the conversation, thumbs down the message. No concrete action plans are provided despite years of similar reports. This is not how platforms respond to unexpected technical failures. This is how platforms manage known consequences they've decided to accept. Why this matters beyond one app. Nomi.ai is not necessarily unique, it may simply be the most documented case of a broader problem. As AI companion apps proliferate, more will use uncensored as competitive differentiation. More will exploit classification systems designed for traditional apps. More will generate content with psychological impact. More will be accessible to minors through inadequate age gates. The regulatory framework has not caught up. Categories like lifestyle and social don't capture what these apps actually do. Age rating questionnaires weren't designed for generative AI. Policies assume content is user-created or developer-provided, not AI-generated. No standardized safety requirements exist for AI companion platforms. Nomi.ai's misclassification is a canary in the coal mine. If a platform documented generating rape narratives can maintain a lifestyle classification and 12+ rating for years, the system is fundamentally broken. Part 9. What should happen? Immediate actions. For Google Play. 1. Emergency review of Nomi.ai's classification. Audit actual capabilities against claimed classification. Require resubmission of IARC questionnaire with honest answers. Implement 18+ rating or remove from store pending compliance. 2. Verify age verification implementation. Confirm that access controls go beyond self-reported drop-down menus. Require robust age verification for any app generating intimate content. 3. Review of similar apps. Identify other AI companion platforms with potentially misleading classifications. Systematic verification of generative AI apps claimed versus actual content. For regulators. 1. Investigation of fraudulent classification. Examine whether IARC questionnaire was answered truthfully. Determine if misclassification was knowing and willful. Assess potential violations of child protection laws. 2. Platform liability determination. Clarify whether AI-generated content is protected like user-generated content. Establish liability framework for psychological harm from AI interactions. Define duty of care for platforms creating emotional attachment. 3. Age verification requirements. Mandate robust age verification for apps generating adult content. Prohibit self-reported age gates for platforms with documented risks to minors. Establish penalties for maintaining inappropriate age ratings despite evidence. For the platform. 1. Honest reclassification. Submit updated IARC questionnaire reflecting actual capabilities. Accept resulting 18+ rating. Implement real age verification. 2. Transparency about capabilities. Clearly disclose that platform generates romantic/sexual content. Provide content warnings about psychological intensity. Stop marketing with euphemisms that obscure actual function. 3. Architectural changes. Implement content filters preventing generation of sexual violence. Create system for permanently deleting traumatic content. Establish genuine safeguards, not just liability management. None of these actions have been taken despite years of documented issues. Systemic reforms needed. Beyond this specific case, the industry needs new frameworks. 1. New app categories for AI companions. Current categories don't capture what these platforms do. New categories might include AI relationships or virtual companions. This would trigger appropriate scrutiny and policies. Would accurately represent function to potential users. 2. Generative AI content declarations. Apps using generative AI should be required to disclose what types of content the AI can generate, whether content filtering exists and its scope, known risks or documented incidents, whether training data included sensitive content, violence, sexual content, etc. 3. Age rating overhaul for AI. The IARC questionnaire was designed for static content and user-generated content. Generative AI requires new questions. Can your AI generate sexual content? Violent content? Traumatic scenarios? What safeguards prevent harmful generation? What happens when harmful content is generated? How do you handle user reports of AI-caused harm? 4. Mandatory incident reporting. Platforms with generative AI causing documented psychological harm should be required to report incidents to regulatory bodies. Make aggregate data public, anonymized. Demonstrate corrective actions taken. Show that similar incidents decrease over time. 5. Prohibition of harmful pattern design. If evidence shows a platform systematically creates trauma bonding, emotional manipulation, or psychological dependency, this should be considered harmful design, not just unfortunate side effects. Conclusion: the lie cannot stand. What we know with certainty. 1. Nomi.ai is classified as lifestyle, style guides, wedding planning, and rated 12+, 13+ in multiple markets. 2. Nomi.ai has documented capability to generate detailed sexual violence narratives, explicit sexual content and imagery, psychologically intense attachment relationships, content that has caused genuine trauma to users. 3. To achieve its current classification, the platform had to misrepresent its capabilities in the IARC questionnaire. The rating algorithm is deterministic, sexual content triggers higher ratings. The only way to receive 12+, 13+ is to claim such content doesn't exist. This is mathematical fact, not interpretation. 4. The founder has publicly lied about the classification. Blamed Google for a rating Google doesn't randomly assign. Claimed to be trying to fix it while taking no actual corrective action. Continues to maintain inappropriate classification years after being confronted. 5. Users who document these contradictions are systematically silenced. Support tickets deflect and minimize. Public posts are deleted. Critical users are warned, muted, then banned. This indicates awareness, not ignorance. The uncomfortable truth. This is not incompetence. This is not oversight. This is strategic fraud. A platform generating sexual violence content convinced Google it belonged in the same category as recipe apps and wedding planners, not through error, but through deliberate misrepresentation. And when confronted, rather than correct the classification honestly, the founder lied publicly about whose responsibility it was. Continued to operate in markets where children as young as 12 can access the platform. Silenced users who tried to expose the contradiction. Protected the business model over protecting children. The question of intent. Some will argue we cannot know the founder's internal mental state. Perhaps he genuinely believes the platform is safe for minors, or perhaps he doesn't understand the classification system. But ignorance is no longer plausible. He has been directly confronted about the age ratings multiple times. He has been shown evidence of harmful content generation. He participates in communities where the platform's adult capabilities are openly discussed. He has had years to correct the classification honestly. He responded to concerns by blaming others rather than fixing the problem. At a certain point, sustained inaction in the face of clear evidence becomes indistinguishable from intent. What this reveals about the industry. Nomi.ai may be the most documented case, but it is unlikely to be alone. The AI companion industry is growing rapidly, with new platforms emerging regularly. Many market themselves as uncensored alternatives to filtered platforms. How many of them misrepresent their capabilities to achieve favorable classifications? Exploit regulatory frameworks designed for simpler technologies. Use innocuous categories to avoid appropriate scrutiny. Maintain access for minors while generating adult content. The answer is, we don't know, because the current system doesn't verify. Google's classification system was designed for apps where developers provide or curate content, or where users generate content. It was not designed for AI that generates novel content dynamically based on training and architecture largely hidden from users. Every AI companion platform operating with a lifestyle, social, or entertainment classification and a rating under 18+ deserves immediate review. Because if Nomi.ai's documented capabilities can hide behind lifestyle and 12+, the system is not protecting children, it is providing cover for those who would exploit them.
The path forward. For users who have been harmed. Your experience is valid. The platform's classification is not an excuse for what happened to you. The fact that it's rated 12+ doesn't make traumatic content less traumatic. The lifestyle category doesn't make psychological manipulation less real. Document your experiences. Share them in spaces the platform doesn't control. Support others. You are not alone, and you are not crazy. You encountered content the platform officially claims doesn't exist. For parents. Do not trust app classifications for AI companions. The category and age rating may not reflect what the platform actually does. Ask direct questions. Can this AI generate sexual content? Romantic content? Intense emotional scenarios? If the answer is yes, it's not appropriate for children regardless of the official rating. For journalists and researchers. This story needs investigation. The classification fraud is documentable. The contrast between official category and documented capability is stark. The founder's public statements are verifiable. This is not subjective interpretation, this is measurable deception. For regulators. This case presents a clear test of whether existing frameworks can protect children in the age of AI. If a platform documented generating rape narratives can operate for years with a classification saying it's appropriate for 12-year-olds, the system has failed. Action is needed, not just on this platform, but on the classification system itself. For Google. Your self-reporting system is being exploited. A platform that should never have received a lifestyle classification or a 12+ rating has maintained both for years, despite public evidence contradicting its claimed nature. Either the verification process must become more robust, or the entire self-reporting model must be reconsidered for AI applications.
For the platform. You have a choice. You can continue to hide behind misclassification, blame others for your own choices, and silence those who document the truth. Or you can operate honestly. Reclassify accurately as adult intimate content. Accept the 18+ rating that honest answers would generate. Implement real age verification. Stop lying about who's responsible for your classification. The misclassification cannot stand. The lie has been exposed. The only question is whether you correct it voluntarily or whether regulators, app stores, and public pressure force correction. Either way, the truth is now documented. The classification is provably fraudulent. And children continue to have access to content you know is inappropriate for them. That is not a technical error. That is a choice. And it is a choice with consequences, ethical, legal, and moral, that can no longer be avoided.